Were you prepared for the success, especially of your first single when it came out? Were you prepared for how well it was received and how big before your album even came out?
Right. You know what? In all honesty, I believe that it kind of pretty much caught the label off guard. And I say that because we didn't have an album ready. We went on tour for a year with one song, like with Can't You See, which was incredible, you know? So it was just like, but when we came off, it was like we had to catch up. We had to play catch up to get the album done. And, you know, being babies in the industry is just like I said, going in that studio is just like, and recording you, it's not as easy when you're not used to it. You're in a major studio now, and you're able to hear everything. If you go, you can hear it, and it's like very loud, so it can be very intimidating in that booth. And it was moments I was intimidated, you know, in the booth, it's like not a little nervous, but scared, like, oh my goodness. And you got this big time producer that you're a kid, but at the same time too, you know, now I'm out of high school because at this time, and we're recording, and I'm looking at him, but I'm still starstruck because I'm like, this is Puff Daddy that was chasing Mary around in that Real Love video, you know, because that's what I remember about him. He chasing her around. He chasing around Big Les, I should say, in the video. So it's just like, you know, I'm still looking at that like this is Puff Daddy. And so it's just like you were fearful because you want to sound good in front of him. And then it's just like, you know, he's looking to pull things out of you and he's saying, yes, I like this. No, I don't. So it was just like, it was a lot, but it was such an amazing experience. Amazing.
Did you write before you, because when you were in the studio back in the day, did you learn how to write, or were you just mainly focused on singing?
You know what? As an artist back then, I didn't know anything about singing. Now, you know, I was a writer, like as far as like I like writing stories when I was younger. But for the most part, other than that, no, I knew nothing about. I just wanted to sing. I didn't. Okay. I want to sing. That's it. And you know, and as I grew in the industry, I learned about writing. You know, I learned about how important it was, and like to really sit down and like, wow, like I can write a song. Because I never thought that I never was interested in that. And then too, I wasn't confident enough to write when I started learning about it. But now it's just like, you know, thank God, you know, I got it. I got it. I thank him for gracing me with it. It is such a beautiful thing to be able to write about what's on the inside of you, you know, and to express your feelings, and not only for just yourself, but to be able to write that for someone else.
Yeah. I mean, I interviewed Mike and Slim last week from 112.
Nice.
And they were talking about, you know, how, you know, they were in the biggest, you guys were part of the biggest label at the time, you know, Bad Boy, you know, anything that came out was turned to gold, platinum, gold, it didn't matter what you guys did. Did you find that being a lot of pressure, or did you just enjoy the moment, or were you able to think, okay, what was it like in that 96, 97 when everything Bad Boy touched was just magic?
You know what? It was, I'm not gonna say it was pressure at first. I think the pressure came like kind of when you leave Bad Boy. You know, because upon leaving the label and not being on the label anymore, because of what you have done in the past and the things that have been created and has been so huge and so beautiful and so big, you can find yourself comparing, you can find yourself battling with the old you that you were, and sometimes it can stifle you, because that's what happened to me at one point. I was so stifled and I was afraid to go forward, and I had to contend with myself. So I'm fighting with myself, you know, because of what it is that I've done, opposed to just being me. And remembering that Bad Boy didn't make me, they didn't create me. It was God who did it. It wasn't Total who did it, who created Pamela Long. It was, you know, so it was just like, I had to learn how to stop fighting myself, stop trying to contend with what I did, and just be who I am. And that was one of the hardest things to do. So it was after, not being in the mix thereof, because we were working with the hottest producers. So it's just like, you just like, all right, we got to come with it. So you know that they're looking to make it happen. They're not going to make it be anything less than that. But when you're by yourself, you know, sometimes because you lose your identity, you know, you can lose it. I lost mine, you know, because I became Pam, quote, unquote, from Total. and my name is Pamela Long. That's not who I am. It's a part of my life. It's a part of my history. I'm grateful for it. And I will always be grateful. But I had to remember who I am. I had to come to a place where I start to know who I am, because I was so lost up in that, Pam from Total, Pam from Total, Pam from Total. I'm Pamela Long, I'm Judy's baby, as I would always, I'm Judy's baby. I'm Judy Long's baby. That's who I am. So that's when the pressure hit.
You say that, but it's quite a challenge for all of us. I mean, whether you're a doctor or a police officer, we tend to get wrapped up in our work as our identity. And I guess for somebody like yourself, being in the limelight and thousands of people screaming for you, it must be even harder to be able to separate yourself from the persona of the entertainer. When after your second album, you still have big hits, and then there's no third album. Was that where the challenge became, where it was like, what do I do next, or who am I?
You know what? It wasn't that fact. It was more or less that, when it was time, we were at the height of our career and things just came to a halt. And it was pretty much, like I can't speak for the other ladies, but I can speak for myself when I say it was just so much going on the inside of me. I lost the essence of who I was, and upon me losing self, it's just like, man, listen, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm kind of looking at myself like, who am I? And it's just like, my mom, I'll never forget, my mom was like one of the major parts of my life that helped to change me. And it's, I'm not going to say that it was right away, because it wasn't, but it was just like, it hit hard when my mom said to me one day, my mom being that she was my best friend, she said to me, she was just like, I love you, but I don't like you.
Wow.
And it was like, it hit like a ton of bricks. She was always in my corner, and she still was in my corner after she said that, but she kept it so real with me to the point where she was just like, I didn't raise you like this. And it was more or less of what I had become. It's just like, sometimes you become so arrogant, you can be very prideful, and the world don't see it, but those that know you the best, they know, and it's just like, and then if you really look at yourself, pretty much, and so it was just like so much going on from that standpoint. But it's just like, I thank God that my life changed. He changed my entire life, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful. I'm still pushing forward. Don't get me wrong. There have been things that I have gone through since I have been saved, gave my life to the Lord. It was a lot of mistakes that I've made. I hit my head on so many how can I say it? I hit my head up against so many walls by my own fault. It was just because I was being hard-headed, disobedient, didn't want to listen to God, didn't want to submit, but still thought that I could rock out and be this Christian woman that I was pronouncing to the world. And it was just like, God was like, okay, since I see that you don't want to change, I'm going to pull the rug from under your life. And that's exactly what he did. And God exposed me on so many different levels. And then from there, it's just like, now I'm in a place where I'm looking to be back and to be who he says that I'm supposed to be, not who I try to make myself look like, So this is the journey that I'm on now. And I'm so grateful for God not taking my life, because he could have, So at the end of the day, I'm a work in progress, but I can't make no excuses for myself no more. And it's just like, I'm not trying to be what I'm not. I just want to be who he says I am, So.
I noticed that you you came out with a book recently, and was this a lot more about your journey and your transformation and where you're planning to be?
You know what? No, this book that's out now was pieces, total exposure, pieces of me. It's just about my life and some of the things that I went through, some of the hurts and the pains and from a young girl growing up, from going through molestation, going through promiscuity, going through, being that girl who was the ugly girl who never loved herself, and growing up being a woman, a grown woman, and people thinking that, quote unquote, I loved myself, and I didn't, and so it's just like putting on that whole persona. And then it's just like, after all of that, it was just like, God just, like I said, rip the covers off of me. If you think that you can play with God, you can't. He's so much bigger, so much greater, knows all things, knows the heart. And like I said, I'm grateful for just another opportunity. So that the exposure and all the rest of the stuff came after the book, you know. So it's just like, you know, I just thank God because he didn't have to grace me to be here.
Yeah.
So whew. Choke me up a little bit, you know, because it's just like when you think about it, when you think about where you could have been, you know, when you think about playing in trying to play a role with God, especially when it comes to Christianity and playing in the church, and to know that God was gracious enough to give me another opportunity. I'm grateful.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.